Apparently, the Japanese Archbishop Isao Kikuchi says that Japan must embrace multiculturalism and accept migrants from Africa and the Middle East if it wants to survive. Okay, so where do we begin? Do we begin with the religious aspect or the political aspect? Let's start with the religious aspect, because I see a lot of people, calling the Pope a traitor. From the perspective of the divine, he is not sinning. Like, you do not go to hell for saying something like this. And if you think otherwise, you're not a Catholic. Because Catholicism, by definition, means universalism. Right? The Bible is very clear about this, that God does not favor one group of people over others. If you think otherwise, then you're Jewish. Right? So the Catholic Church was the first universal institution in Europe. Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't a theological issue happening here. While the Catholic Church should, of course, promote the idea of like every single human being is created in the image of God, and so it doesn't matter, they should also promote baptism and forcing these people to convert. Because from the Catholic point of view, like, all of these infidels are going to burn in hell. And if you're genuinely a compassionate individual and you're holding the keys of Peter, right, you're the Pope, then it is in your interest to help these lost lambs to come into the fold. And so whenever you would see an immigration center, you would also need to see at least 5 Catholic priests trying to encourage the infidel to drop away their religious superstition and come to the light. And so this is where you can genuinely have an issue with the Catholic faith. It's like, okay, well, if Japan is to survive, it needs to bring in Muslims. Perfect. But where are the conversions, my brother in Christ? Where are the baptisms? Why are you allowing these people to be out of communion? Right? And so this is what the Catholic Church of the medieval time would have done. Like, they would have been obsessed with making sure that all these people have a Bible in their hand and they start reciting the word of the Lord. Now, obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean that the conversions would be forced, but they would definitely encourage the Christian nations to not provide welfare to these individuals. It's like, okay, you want to come here, that's fine. You want welfare, you have to convert, right? Like, nobody is going to oppress you, nobody is going to do anything bad, right? But you need to come into the Christian club. Why isn't the Pope doing that? Like, is what I'm saying schismatic or anything like that? I don't think it is. I think it's in coherence with the doctrine, but for some reason, the Pope is not doing it, right? Secondly, let's analyze what is being said, right? Like, for Japan to survive, it must embrace multiculturalism. Okay, so, what does that actually mean, right? For Japan to survive? Because I keep hearing this, which means that it's propaganda, right? Like, this is not a bishop that lost sleep last night and was thinking about the Japanese problem and he came up with the solution by himself. Like, no, this is word for word, like, parroting the exact same phrase that we have heard for the last 10 years or so, right? Like, it's just like something like a mantra right now. It's kind of like a ritual, like you have to say this thing. And when that happens, it means that someone else, right, more wise than this bishop has come up with it, which is propaganda. But let's analyze the propaganda. For Japan to survive. Japan is a plot of land, right? Like, it's an island. Like, the island doesn't die. Doesn't need to survive. It will be there. Like, no matter what happens, as long as planet Earth holds, Japan will be there regardless, right? So he's not talking about the land. Okay, he is talking about the people in Japan, I assume, right? Like, he is talking about the families that live in Japan, the individuals, the human beings in Japan, which have their own way of life, they have their own institutions, they have their own way of doing things. They do not survive if they import people who have different ways of doing things, right? Like, they become something else. So no, that's not survival. That is transformation, like for Japan to transform. Whether the transformation is good or not, it's a transformation nonetheless. So why don't you call it what it is? But more importantly, Let's talk about it this way, right? Like, imagine you have a farmhouse. And in the farmhouse, you have the Smith family. Now, the Smith family lives under a very greedy aristocrat. And this aristocrat keeps taking taxes from them, right? Like, keeps extorting the Smith family to the point where the Smith family decides to have less children because having children is expensive. And over a couple of generations, the Smith family from 20 individual now is maybe 4 or 5, right? And so this greedy noble that keeps taking and taking and taking decides, well, the Smith family is in a lot of trouble. Let's bring like 25 people from the street, from the steppes, and put them in their household. And now let's force the Smith family to cohabitate, and let's put some censorship. Let's, crack down on them if they complain. And in a couple of generations, is the farmhouse going to still be to the Smith family, or is it going to be to the newcomers? Because, when does the farmhouse stop being the Smith families? Because the farmhouse is still the farmhouse, right? Like, it's a building. It just exists. And not to mention, like, the new people. Will they continue operating the farmhouse exactly like the Smith family did? Will they, maintain the same rituals and institutions and the same way of life that the Smiths did, or will they change it? For better or for worse, right? So, like, again, what exactly does it mean, like, for Japan to survive? And that is the question, like, is Japan really going to die out? I mean, like, what's preventing the Japanese to have more children once they become poorer, right? So, like, for example, 3 generations in the future, the number of Japanese people drops dramatically. But the people that are alive, they, all of a sudden, maybe they have less wealth, right? So they have less entertainment, and they suddenly enjoy fucking a lot. Like, they like to fuck a lot, right? And they don't have money to buy birth control. They don't have money to buy abortions because they're poor. And so the only thing left is, all of a sudden, population goes up, right? Interesting, right? So, like, you can actually survive without... But it's interesting that the church isn't actually promoting Japanese people to have more children, right? Like, why is it saying, for Japan to survive, Japanese people need to have more children? For Japan to survive, Japan needs to ban condoms and abortions. Like, wouldn't that make more sense, right? It's interesting. Why not? Again, I keep hearing the solution to wokeness is Christianity. What do you think? This is Christianity. Not all Christianity, but, like, here's the problem, right? Like, some people think that the solution to wokeness is an ideology. No, the solution to wokeness is to care about your own family. It's literally the solution to wokeness. Your family is the most important thing, right? And if your nation is going to shit, you are not like a tree rooted into the land. You owe nothing to other people outside your family. That's my take. And my family is like first cousins, second cousins, and the strangers that chose to marry into my family, they become my family by extension. And so those are the only people that I care about. I don't give a fuck about governments. I don't give a fuck about ideologies. But then that's just me, right? There are other people that care about ideologies, and look what you get, right? Yeah. So every time you donate to the church, right, to the Catholic Church, not to any church, right? Like the Orthodox aren't doing this shit. But every time you donate to the Catholic Church, this is what you're funding. And it's not his take, because, like, the Pope recently also excommunicated some right-wing chads. Because I saw it in the news, like, some anti-immigration priests got excommunicated by the church. Wasn't there, like, that guy at the Lotus Eaters also getting in trouble? Right, and so you can see that the entire church as an institution is for mass migration, and not for mass migration from anywhere. Because they're not saying, for Japan to survive, it needs more Europeans. Or for Japan to survive, it needs more Chinese. No, it's like from migration from Africa. It's almost like the church wants to depopulate Africa. Like, if there's still an African in Africa, the church isn't happy. And it's specifically with Muslims as well, right? Like, they're not talking about, like, if Japan is to survive, it needs to take Christians from Africa. No, like Muslim, like Islam, inshallah. Very interesting. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, we'll see each other in the comment section. Take care.